Hello and welcome to the Album Man, and today it's time for, well, it's been a bit of a while, for my third Q&A. I don't do these too often, but yes, this is in celebration of 400 subs, and yeah, I mean, I've got quite a few more since then. I think I'm at least at 430 or something, which is awesome, so hopefully hitting that 500 soon, I hope. And yeah, so Q&A, plenty of questions, in fact so many, I think I'm going to have to split this into multiple parts. So we'll just see, we'll see, how far we get in about maybe 15 minutes, and then, we'll see. Okay, so we're just going to do these in order from the first asked to the last asked. So firstly we have That's Not Metal, and his question is, my question would be, are you a fan of thrash, death or black metal? And if so, what bands or albums, and also what are your opinions on the genres? Okay, well, death metal wise, none. I've tried listening to death metal, from newer stuff to like the band Death, to lots of stuff, but I just don't like, primarily it's the vocal style. I don't like growling vocals in any way. I can, I'm okay with the odd scream, the odd shout, the, maybe the odd bit of growl if it works in a song, but I don't like just all the way through, just like, sounds that you can't even understand the lyrics. I very much always like to be able to understand the lyrics. Thrash, yeah, I mean, I do love, quite a few thrash bands, of course the Big Four, Testament, Annihilator, Evil, Paradox, Onslaught. They're two little ones that I like quite a bit as well. And then black metal, really I only know, well, I've listened to a bit of black metal, and again I found a lot of it has quite growly vocals, which I don't like, but I think Merciful Fate, the King Diamond band, are they black metal? I often hear they're one of the first black metal bands. I like them, they're pretty decent. If they're black metal, then them. Venom, or are they more thrash? I suppose Venom more thrash, maybe, so Venom and thrash as well. But black, I don't know if anyone knows any black metal bands that, like, have, fairly, fairly clean vocals, then please do tell me. I would be interested, because I always like the guitar in these things. It's just the vocals really put me off. Okay. The Killer Donuts, fantastic name by the way. How do you feel about 90s grunge? I feel that 90s grunge probably did a little more harm than good to rock music. I mean, to be honest, I like some grunge. I like Nirvana quite a bit, bits of Soundgarden, some Alice in Chains, but really I think from the 60s to present, the 90s is the worst decade of music we have. I just think 90s grunge, it just really took over metal, and it destroyed a lot of hair metal, and I always like hair metal. I'm one of those, I don't find it gets that much love, hair metal, but I always liked it. And just metal especially found it just really hard, the sort of classic metal, new wave bands, like, Saxon and Priest and Maiden, they just didn't do well in the 90s, to be honest, at all. But everything seems to have recovered from them, but I think grunge, it was okay, it was a fad, but not, it was alright. Danny G683, do you still hate Kid A? Oh yes I do. I can't bloody stand that album. I like one song on it, I can't even remember the name of, it's that good. No, it's... Have you ever listened to Sigur Rós? Yes, I have listened to some of their new album, and it was interesting. Definitely have an interesting, quite atmospheric sound to them. Seem to sing entirely in Icelandic. I think the Icelandic. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I might check out some more. I'm not sure if I'm really going to get into them, but I might listen to a bit more. Okay. Chainsaw Gears 12, awesome reviewer, check him out if you haven't already. I mean, can't believe you haven't. Okay, so I have two questions. One, if you could meet one band member from any band, who would it be, alive or deceased? Have to be, hands down, Ronnie James Dio, of course, my favourite vocalist. I mean, where I get my Long Live Rock and Roll from. I mean, the originator of the Devil Signs, and just, oh my god, everything from Elf to Rainbow to Black Sabbath, of course, and his solo stuff, just everything he touched truly turned to gold. And also, he just seems like, a really, really cool guy. Yeah, I wish I could have seen him live as well. Such a shame. Okay, favourite album of 2013 so far? Only just, but it has to be, I would say, Black Sabbath 13. But David Bowie's The Next Day is pretty close second. I enjoy that album an awful lot, though I haven't listened to it for a while. I'm waiting till I get it. I really want to get the double vinyl, which also comes with the CD for The Next Day. But yeah, Black Sabbath 13, just amazing. Yeah. Okay, Satamel. I'm not quite sure how to say your name, I'm afraid. So he asks, how long do you play guitar, and can you show some good exercises to improve skills? Well, I've been playing the guitar for about 8 years. Only 5 years properly, as you see, when I started having lessons, at first, I mean, I liked it, but I sort of wouldn't ever practice. You know, I go for the lessons, and my parents say, oh, if you're not going to practice, then, you know, we just won't give you lessons. So it's like, no, so I practiced like a day, and then I wouldn't. Yeah, but then what happened was I started listening to Muse, and it was the song Nights of Sidonia, that screechy, tremolo-filled guitar solo, you know, it's a bad impression of it. But, yeah, and I just had that, it's like, I have to learn that. It sounded, you know, fairly easy, except I couldn't do the tremolo back then. I can now, but I couldn't then. You know, that was a little too advanced for me then. But yeah, so I just played the basics, just, you know, without the tremolo, just basics. And I just loved playing that. I just played that absolutely constantly until I could get, you know, the rhythm correct. And, yeah, my mum even once said that I was practicing it so much that she could swear she actually had a bird singing the tune, which I always find quite amusing. So yeah, ever since then I've been pretty much hooked on guitar for the last 5 years. And any good exercises? I can't say I know any particular exercise. I've never been one to do exercise. I just tend to learn what I want. In exercise I do, you know, just scales. Though I'm not the greatest at scales. Well, you know, not that I can't play them or that I don't particularly like playing them. But you know, I know enough to, you know, say the least. Yeah. So I'm afraid that's pretty much it. Let's see. Daniel Clark. Do you like Marilyn Manson? Hell yeah, last year really got into Marilyn Manson, the second half of 2012, in fact about sort of November, the winter, and yeah, especially the Hollywood, not quite sure, which is just an absolute masterpiece, just a fantastic album, but I pretty much like all his stuff. And interestingly, the album I probably like the least is Antichrist Superstar, which most fans say is his best, but damn, that album's heavy, maybe a little too heavy for me. I don't know, I need to listen to it again. I don't think I've given it a fair go. But yeah, Hollywood, fantastic album. And also Born Villain was in my top 10 favourite albums of last year, just an exceptional album. Do you like Iron Maiden? Hell yeah, one of my favourite metal bands of all time. I love everything except for the Blaze era stuff. That's just no, but Deano Dickinson, superb, and I saw them live a couple of years ago in Nottingham for some reason. I can't even remember where now, but yeah, in Nottingham, which was far. And yeah, they were just superb. Okay, Satamel again, and one more. How do you care for vinyl and clean, etc.? Well, obviously, I like to try and keep them upright when I can. I mean, saying that, I can see below me a pile, like that of vinyl, which I just haven't had time to quite sort through yet. But anyway, because I don't want to get warped, obviously. So I suppose I have to move these soon. Yeah. Anyway, when it comes to cleaning, I always clean my records because I exclusively buy second-hand vinyl. I really would like to start buying some new vinyl. I've literally never bought new vinyl. The newest vinyl I probably own is late 80s, like 88, 89. That I don't have any newish vinyl whatsoever. But yeah, I use some, like I say, I have it here, a JML CD cleaning solution, which it is okay, and some sort of microfiber thing, and that gets the job done. It gets all the dirt and fingerprints and grease and dust and all that crap that starts popping and crackling like a box of Rice Krispies. Okay, The Strong Boys 19, another amazing reviewer based in the UK. So yeah, obviously check him out if you haven't. And okay, are there any albums that really mean a lot to you, and why? Good question. Well, here's a couple. I'd say the soundtrack to the film Yellow Submarine by the Beatles. That was the first Beatles album I ever got, and it is just amazing. I mean, I used to listen to this album just so much. I just have so many fond memories. I used to have this this hi-fi, which, you see, back when I was younger, I wasn't so much of an audiophile, and I didn't really care about sound quality. I cared about what it looked like. So the hi-fi I had, it was this fantastic. It was only little, like, the hi-fi was that big, had a tape deck, and really wanted tapes. We'll talk about cassettes a bit later. Speakers about this big, so, not that big. I mean, considering my speakers are like this big now, off the screen. But, yeah, and the thing about it was so cool was it changed colour. Damn, was it cool. It would change colour as it was on. I just loved that thing to death. And I'd listen to the Beatles' Yellow Submarine soundtrack all the time on that thing. Just, yeah. That was epic. Also, the Kaiser Chiefs Employment, one of the first sort of rock albums. I mean, it's more indie, but, I ever got into. I love that album. Still to this day, I really like it. I mean, I used to have lyrics on that printed, and I'd stick them to my wall, and I'd learn them off by heart. Like, every night before I go to bed, I'd learn them. So I could pretty much at one point sing the entire album off by heart. Not in key, but off by heart. Yeah, so, that's just a couple. So I could probably end up making a whole video on albums like that. And, yeah, favourite album covers of all time, the top 5. Well, I'm going to be doing a series quite soon of some of my favourites, so I'll just name a few. Things like the Asia album cover with the sea serpent on it, Dark Side of the Moon, of course, Rainbow Rising, which I recently saw in some, I think it was like Loudwire website or something, it was in their list of worst album covers of all time. How? It's a fist going through a rainbow over mountains. Damn, is it cool? I love that. Tubular Bells, I have off to the side there, and also Boston. I absolutely love that album cover with the spaceship. But yes, a lot of these album covers. Eliminator, so cool. Screaming for Vengeance down here. I mean, just, yeah, so many cool covers. I'll be elaborating on that, but in general, I like things like the work of Hypnosis and the late Storm Thorgerson, it's very sad. Roger Dean, who owns Floating Islands, of course, and of course Rodney Matthews, the guy who does the Magnum artwork, and yeah, there's so much of his stuff I love. Okay, also, and still from the Strong Boys, we have, are there any metal or rock genres that are your favourite? It's a tough one. I'd say my favourite subgenre would have to be progressive rock, and progressive metal as well. Love prog, especially 70s prog, just, I could just listen to that all day, and do listen to a lot of it. There's so many different subgenres, to be honest. I suppose one I've been listening to a lot recently, not necessarily one of my favourite all the time, but one I've been listening to recently, a lot of doom metal. Stuff like Orange Goblin, Witchcraft, Orchard, Chaos, and many more, to be honest. Yeah, really been getting into doom metal. Very cool genre with a lot of Sabbathy sounding bands, and I always like Sabbathy sounding bands. Okay, and we'll do maybe one more, or a couple more people, I suppose. Okay, Angus Rocks Japan. Do you like the Beastie Boys? No, I bloody hate them. What is your favourite Led Zeppelin album? Pretty easy, actually. As much as I do, love Zeppelin, how could I not? I think that Led Zeppelin 2 stands head and shoulders above the rest. 4 probably my second favourite, but yeah, 2 just from end to end. I just found like 4, I mean, obviously it has like Black Dog and my favourite song of all time, Stairway to Heaven. It's now joint with Desolation Row if you want, because I've been mixing up a bit. Sometimes I'll say Stairway to Heaven, my favourite song, sometimes Desolation Row, and I now just have them equal. I'm not even going to try and split them, I love them both. Yeah, I just think as an album, 2 is the most solid and just doesn't have a weak track on it, to be honest. Yeah, just classic hard rock. Okay, and lastly then we'll have Midnight Strike 360 for another fantastic reviewer that you should check out as well. How do you feel about the Xbox One now that the DRM/used game policies are no more? So basically the Xbox 180. I did talk about this a bit in this other podcast thing I did with my friend I may or may not be Jack, but being that video is about an hour long, I'm going to assume most people haven't watched it, and especially as it has a thumbnail with a pony covered in bacon that I made on Photoshop. Yeah. But no, I think the Xbox 180 was a fantastic idea, and it's really saved the Xbox One from being bad. And to us, as much as I didn't like what Microsoft did, I didn't want the Xbox One to fail. Simply because competition in the market is essential, and with Nintendo not really looking like they're going to be a strong competitor in the 8th generation, it's essential for Microsoft to really have that solid console. Otherwise Sony would start getting complacent, start introducing measures of their own, and they'd have nothing to stop them. It's only because Sony didn't. That's the main thing. If Sony had, then the Xbox would still have the own. But the fact Sony didn't and was selling bucket loads, Xbox did. They were selling none. The stock, the shareholders were like, look at Don Matrick, can't do this anymore. Go after Zynga, and they had to undo it. Does that mean I'm going to be buying it, straight away? No, because they're removing with a patch, a day one patch. That means they could put it back with a day one patch. They could possibly even put something slightly different worded, but just as bad with a patch. I'm probably going to wait at least 3 to 4 years, I'd say, until it has a strong exclusive lineup, but mostly just to see how this DRM plays out, if they have any plans to. Because if within 3 or 4 years they haven't really done anything that anti-consumer, you can maybe be fairly sure with this console they probably won't. But with the PS4, not this year I wouldn't get it, but probably the year after. Yeah. Okay. So, I think that's it for part 1, so tune into part 2, because we have plenty more questions. And yeah, so this has been the Alphaman. Thanks for watching, comment, rate, subscribe, as usual. Long live, rock and roll.